Okay, this is a meeting of Public Access Cable Committee. We are using Zoom as well, but we have one committee member on Zoom and no public on Zoom at this point. I need to do a roll call to make sure we have a quorum. So, Pete, are you here?
Here?
Faith, are you here?
Here.
And I'm here. That's sufficient for a quorum. We understand Steve will be with us shortly. And Jeff said he would try to be here if he can.
Zoom through. So.
Yeah, he would
Yep.
probably come in through Zoom. So, let's see when Steve gets here. At this point, we throw the floor open for public comments.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
And actually, I'm glad Heather's here because maybe it's more toward you.
Uh-oh.
We are an official town committee, correct?
Yes,
And Joe's salary is paid by the town, correct?
through the enterprise.
Why do we pay rent?
That's considered an indirect cost as part of operating an enterprise. Okay.
An indirect cost, did you say?
Yes, yeah. So there's costs related to operating enterprise accounts and such as rent for space, health insurance is another indirect cost distributed to the enterprise.
Now, if we had our own building, we would no longer have to pay the town, correct?
If you were paying for that cost directly out of the enterprise,
Yeah.
correct.
Does the DPW or the sewer committee pay, because they're an
The
enterprise?
sewer.
The sewer
they're a-
pays their
uh,
office costs.
Mhm.
And what
Lease.
determines the
Administrative
cost?
cost.
Because I wasn't on the committee when that was established.
Before my turn.
It's,
Is the square footage?
it is. So that is the cost, and it hasn't changed for a number of years, a square footage cost for each space.
Mhm.
I just know when I was on this committee when it
The same
began.
cost is, or rental cost is for the extended day program too.
I was on this committee when it began, about 5 years, and we did not pay rent.
Mhm.
So I don't know what the negotiations were, but I was curious to see how that worked out,
Mhm.
how that was set.
Yep, that's similar to any enterprise account for indirect costs.
Now, should, cross fingers, we get the studio in this building that we'd like to get, which would be larger than this, would that change our rent?
Possibly, yes, I don't, that's a very hypothetical question right now.
That's a hypothetical answer too.
Yeah.
Because it would depend on, operational costs of the building, I would guess for.
Yeah,
Well, that should go down.
Mhm. Yeah. we
but
would
the
hope.
square,
Insulated.
Steve, the square footage usually includes things like maintenance, utilities, the different costs of heating, just to have the space here. And then it's delegated to the different departments is usually how it's done. So it's not like we're being charged more than another department, right? Like
Correct.
any department within the town is charged for the square footage they use.
And what's the definition again of an enterprise
Uh,
as opposed to a school committee? Or
It's a self-supporting entity. So your revenues pay for your cost expenditures to run your program.
cemetery commission come under that?
No, they're
Is
not
it-
an enterprise.
Why?
This-
They get,
'cause-
they get money.
That goes into special revolving accounts. This is really a question you should probably direct to the finance
Yeah, okay.
director. But they're not an enterprise. They have the sale of cemetery lots and perpetual care funds, but those are designated for specific purposes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to talk about that here.
Yeah, I know. We'll see where it ends up when it ends up. So, hearing no further public comments, the only one I would like to make is welcome. Thank you for
Yes,
coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And please approach the microphone when you speak and announce where you live. Okay, so very happy that you're here. So given that we have no times on the agenda, I would propose we move the discussion of future studio space right now, because that's why we invited Heather and she graciously accepted. Do you have anything for us, or do you want me to summarize what we need? Or
Why don't you
neither?
go forward? Yeah.
No, I mean, I can, that's what this is everything we need. in this one.
I have a very good idea of what the needs of public access, having been, you know, part of the discussions for the TCP building design committee and attending their meetings.
Right.
So I'm part of the space needs analysis, so I have
Yeah,
a very good idea from
One
perspective.
thing that was good with the process that TC Facios went through is it made us a much better definition of what we needed, which we did. So we have a whole bunch of assumptions that we don't believe are our business. It's the business of whoever owns and creates the space and manages the space. Things like ADA compliance, no asbestos, which we've got here in the floor, no lead paint, which we've got here in the paint. So all the usual safety types of things. We would need a cable drop coming in. Our space needs to be secure, preferably co-located with town offices, because that would be a tremendous help for us, which we can discuss. Needs to be secure access, separate from the town's secure access, because we're open strange hours. But just because somebody is welcomed into the Pacc studio space, they shouldn't have access to go wandering through all the town offices as well. And the other issue is we're looking to get a mobile unit at some point, which would be some kind of van with all sorts of interesting and expensive equipment inside it, installed in it, and we would need secure parking for that. The main studio, and Joe and I in particular have visited, and you've been to at least one other studio with us. It's about 1,000 square feet. Needs air conditioning because of the equipment that we have in there. We need quiet neighbors. There's an interesting thought. So quiet neighbors, so they're not interfering when we're trying to record. We would deal with things like soundproofing, preferably north-facing windows. Failing that, none, because that causes us all sorts of problems if halfway through the sun rises or something like that. And our preference is for a high ceiling, which Joe will tell me. I think as far as we've seen with the other ones, about 15 feet is what we would prefer, but we have seen lower ones.
We have.
This one's 11 feet, and we get by with it, but it's much easier to install the infrastructure to hang lights, microphones with a higher ceiling.
Just like a stage.
Right. So
Steve? Oh, I'm
Hey.
sorry, you mentioned something about lead paint. And my understanding is that as long as we don't have toddlers who would be nibbling at it, we're not constrained by lead paint.
well,
and the same-
certainly we are, because we're not allowed to drill holes in it. So if we wanted to mount something on the walls here, we can't.
Okay, and the same thing with asbestos, as long as it's sealed,
It's not
it's-
disturbed, asbestos is okay.
not disturbed, yeah.
I like to
Problems.
snack on it, so.
Yeah. Steve, welcome.
Welcome.
As Jeff isn't here, if you'd be so kind as to do your expert job.
I thought it was 6:30.
Oh. So,
The other meeting's at 6:30. I did it wrong.
so
Okay.
far we've had roll call.
Yeah,
Jeff is not here. We've had a question from the public to do with are paying rent for our space, and we're formally welcome. Sorry, what was your name? Sorry, town manager to join us at the meeting. The other thing we have done is we have moved up the future studio space item on the agenda, which we are now doing. So main studio, 1,000 square feet, etc., etc. We would like a kitchen studio because that needs a special setup. Both of those studios would be multi-purpose as well. The kitchen studio would need both electric and gas service, would need water and drainage, and would need exhaust fans. So in creating building space, we need that kind of thing. We would like a studio for particularly set up for interviews. If we can't do that, we would create it in the corner of the main studio, but that would be 100 square feet. And we have seen at least one other studio as a voiceover studio, which is like a telephone kiosk, that when you go in, it's deadly quiet. It's so soundproof, it's unbelievable. And all it has is one high quality microphone in it and a screen.
And also having a podcast studio is this,
Yeah.
it's along the same idea. It's very small space, but it's something I think a lot of young people would like to have, not just young people, but give people
The
options to
interview
record.
studio might be configurable for that
Or,
as well.
yeah, yeah.
As a thought, we need a master control room that supports all the studios. So it's the equipment that we've got over there, except more than one of those, a couple of 100 square feet. Needs preferably direct but soundproof sight of each other studio. So double or triple pane glass. If we can't do that, we'll use this novelty they call television, and be able to watch the studio directly with wood-fired televisions. Needs to be soundproof, has cable drops, needs equipment level air conditioning. So when you define air conditioning of a whole building, our requirements may be slightly higher because of the amount of equipment we have. And we would really like some backup power, some of which should be uninterruptible, so that we don't have to come in and restart a bunch of stuff after a, particularly a brief power outage. Right now, I'm not aware of, actually there's a generator on this building, but I believe it's for limited lighting and the boiler room.
Mhm.
That's my guess. It's not a very big one. So we'd like 2 green rooms, one for male, one for female. They would need plumbing. An equipment room, which is where we keep the piles of equipment that Joe has in the cupboards over there. You're looking.
I'm
confused.
looking confused. I thought we did away with the green rooms. We didn't. need
That
them.
was in the particular one for TC Passios. This was our wish list.
Oh, I see.
This is where
Okay,
we got to start from somewhere.
okay,
If we stand up and say
Mhm.
this is our absolute minimum, then we'll get less than that.
right. Okay,
So-
sorry.
I'm just trying to paint the whole picture.
Okay,
Equipment room where we not only store equipment as a battery charging station, as it's securable, where people can borrow and return equipment, and where we can maintain equipment. Some kind of reception area, which we would need to be 24-hour access, whereas if we're in the same building as the town offices, our preference is that during normal town office times, people come into the town reception and they're then sent down to our area. But we need to have our own reception area, particularly for out of hours. Maybe preferable to have our own separate entrance, but that's an issue for security to deal with. We need editing and training spaces for 3 people simultaneously. They're typically about 100 square feet. I think we did away with the archive because of the way we're
yeah, it's gonna,
using YouTube. So
well, not just that, any device used for backup or archiving would be pretty small.
yeah,
It would fit in a closet.
yeah, we've seen some studios where they had a whole bunch of conversion equipment, so you could bring your Super 8 movie in They've been in business for a long, long time. They have
Yeah,
tapes, they have Betamax. And we have one wax cylinder, which is the baseball song, right?
That was the first 78 with 2 sides.
I
Let's
know.
get it straight.
Just kidding. And it's 2 staff offices, otherwise Joe's not going to speak to me anymore. So 100 square foot, I mean, typical as staff office. Our preference is that there are town meeting rooms co-located with us, because that means with fewer staff, we can cover more simultaneous meetings. We're looking at a thing called an owl, which is fascinating. I have used one. And one videographer should be able to set that up in one committee meeting room and then go into another one and set it up there and monitor 2 of them. And we can't afford a lot of stuff. I mean, our budget compared, most of the places we've looked at have had towns of at least 40,000 people.
right.
They have roughly 4 times our budget. So we're trying to do the best we can with it.
And some of those towns have 2 providers of cable, so they have a revenue flow from 2 sources, not just R1 with Comcast.
Typically, that doesn't increase the income though, because most people would only be on one provider, but they have a choice. We don't. So you're right. So there's my picture. Now I turn the floor over to you for your picture.
So I guess I have some follow-up questions. to the
Sure.
list you provided. So I'm assuming that total square footage exceeds what was given to the TC Passio committee, building design committee?
No, that came to about 27 or 2,800.
Okay, because I don't remember a lot of those details in
Right.
that design. I remember the kitchen space, the studio space, control room.
Right.
Yeah.
But it came, I think, the number kept
Conference room.
sneaking up on TC Passio's building committee, because the last time I saw it, it was more like 3,200. But we had originally asked for 27, which we'd been advised was about the right amount for us. We took that number, tried to fit everything we needed to do in it, and it's equivalent to roughly 3 of these rooms. This is about 900 square feet, just to get a vision. And that's what TC Passio's committee were using. Then the architects got hold of it, and then, things changed. That's our target, it's 27.
So I don't know if you followed the recent select board meetings or not, but the discussion on the TC Passio's design
The charter.
charge.
I was
Their
at that,
charge.
I was at that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they are readdressing that, and they'll be hopefully finalizing that tomorrow night.
Oh, there's a meeting, oh, the Board of Selectmen.
The select board
I'm
yeah.
sorry, yes, I'll learn to call it.
to redefine the charge of the
Yeah.
committee. So I think that will provide assistance on what the next steps are for this building, and hopefully provide some answers for Pacc on where that's leading as well. I did relay that Pacc is feeling frustrated as far as the timing, because it's been many years, and
Right.
how important it is to make these decisions sooner than later. Because have these funds available for
Right.
a studio, but have nowhere, at the moment,
Right.
you're in limbo at the status quo of the situation here.
And
So-
we're being called on to film more and more events in town,
Right.
especially the schools.
Can I ask you a question
Sure.
off topic a little bit? You're familiar with doing grants for all different kinds of needs for the town. What, would there be any kind of grants for public access? 90% of the public access in Massachusetts is a 501c3. There's very few that are part of the town. So I guess I'm saying, is it possible that there are some government grants that we could look into for maybe building a studio,
Right.
or if not building a studio, how, if we can somehow get the TCP space, maybe look for grants to help fund some of the things that we want to do?
I'm not familiar with any particular grants for that purpose.
Probably a
but,
cultural council kind of thing.
yeah, cultural council grants
So
tend
Drake-
to be very small
Drake had said they had gotten
in
some.
terms of.
They're not
yeah.
part of the town.
Yeah, if you find
they're
a
not.
1C3, the rules are very different because you can be tax exempt
Mhm.
and we're not.
It doesn't
So-
mean that they're
Well,
not out there. It would
yeah.
just require, more.
So they would be
Research.
small. Okay.
Steve,
Hello?
I wanted to ask a question on timeline. I'm not sure if I heard Heather correctly. Did you say that the select board has taken some kind of action? I couldn't hear what, and when would you expect that there would be some decision on whether the TC Paseo School will be torn down or rebuilt, or, whatever, remodeled?
If anyone here has that answer, I'd love to. The only
Yeah.
The only timeline I have right now is that the select board is revising the charge of the TC Passios Building Design Committee. And they should be finalizing that at tomorrow night's meeting. That will
The
provide,
charge?
yes, what the TC Passios Building Design Committee
Oh, is supposed to do.
do.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay,
If you
but
start,
I was just wondering if through how many more town meetings we're gonna have to go through to have any action done.
That's a good question, one I don't. can't
Yeah,
this is the basis of our frustration because
everyone's.
the committee is well charged. They all leap on with enthusiasm. As far as I can tell, it would be a minimum of 2.5 to 3 years. That's it. Everything flowed smoothly
Mhm.
before anybody would drop the first brick out of this building. And this is our frustration, as you put it so precisely.
Yeah.
If there's anything else in the town or any other options available to us, does the DPW?
Yeah, like repossessed
Jason?
properties or,
And that's
Yeah.
another
We're-
problem. Even if this does go smoothly, where do we go in the interim?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
Me
the
too.
same, we had
We-
the same
we-
question
we
for
s-
town offices too.
Yeah, right.
We
So,
still need the broadcast,
Yeah.
Right.
and yeah, we were, the same needs for everyone who's occupying the space, everyone who's occupying the Ritter and the
Right,
town hall,
yeah.
so. That would
Yeah.
have to be factored into whatever costs associated with building. I do want to add, as part of that revised charge, is we'd be looking at capacity for debt. Because as you know, the cost estimates that we received, which were very inflated due to economic factors and current, pandemic, and supply and labor shortages, that we'd be looking at our debt capacity as well. We have the capability to take on in future years as well, which we have looked at, but there's that tipping point that we want to make sure that everyone has an appetite for.
Right.
Mm.
So you're not aware of any space tucked away anywhere in any town?
No, as you and I discussed,
I know, but I wanted to.
yeah,
For the committee.
for
I'm
public,
being
for the
kind.
public and the committee. No, we're fully occupied at Town Hall,
Yeah.
Ritter, DPW, Council on Aging. The library is at full capacity. The only buildings we have are the Brooks House that, in this.
That we understand will be
So,
completely.
I just want to
impractical.
be fully upfront with, those are available.
Does the town have any land that's available?
There's lots of conservation land, but that's, if
But
it's
land
in
that can be built on.
conservation, There are town properties, such as, let's see, 671 West Street, that was originally acquired to build a school. But that's a property, I think open space is interested as well. So I could get a list of different
Aren't there some
properties
on Chase
under,
Road?
there may be,
I think so.
yeah,
Probably
I'd have to
not
see
town
who's carrying custody it's under.
Don't even mention the one on Pleasant Street. There's 40 acres behind my house.
How big is that garage?
No, I mean, that would, that, I
Which is-
mean,
which is under
I
town
bring that
control.
up as like, not even a last resort, but a last resort. I mean, just
Yeah,
for an idea of what's out there,
Yeah.
because we, our budget does have the money to build a
Yeah,
building,
right.
but then we would not have any money
Right,
to
to equip the
Yeah.
building.
equip it.
to
I'm not
equip the building.
Yeah, like that size building you're talking about,
Mhm.
the 3,000 approximately square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep in mind, costs of building for towns is much, much more expensive.
Prevailing
Then-
wages.
Right.
Right, you're paying
Prevailing
prevailing
wages.
wages, so it's
Yeah.
at least 30% more than
Yeah.
your
Right.
normal cost. And normal costs right now are abnormal,
Yes,
so,
they are.
Building
Yeah.
costs ridiculous.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
so it's extremely,
Okay.
can be cost prohibitive.
Well, that's why I was asking if there were any properties that were taken in possession by the town for lack of taxes paid.
Gas- The gas station.
Chapter 11. Yes, the one down the road here.
Chapter Lane.
There you go.
empty,
That's right.
And he's only going to use part of it when he got his permit to do car repair, but not car sales, basically.
We do have certain properties that were foreclosed, and we're going through that's a tax lien sale, which is different than foreclosure, but yes,
Okay,
I could provide a list through the collector's office.
thank you. That would be helpful for future discussions.
Mm.
Certainly. Sorry, I don't have better.
No,
news.
no, I really appreciate you taking the time and coming here. We were all reasonably confident of what you would be able to tell us. And thank you for doing that. But just, and I know you fully understand this, we have a huge frustration going on. Even if they gave us more space here, we can't put the equipment in,
Mhm.
particularly as Pete just said. Then we'd have to take it all out and put it somewhere while they did whatever. So if there's any way anybody anywhere can help us, your ear to the ground would be much appreciated. So thank you.
Has there ever been any, research into regionalizing in a kind of a center for
We
between
haven't
two towns?
really looked at that. Lancaster and Stirling are one public
Mhm.
access
Mhm.
station. And it drives them absolutely nuts because they have to cover 2 select board meetings, and
Okay.
2 town meetings.
200
They-
games.
Yeah, I'm
they
just
rush
thinking
around.
that there's space that could be
Yeah.
optimized budget wise, but.
We haven't really looked-
Lemonster's got a very big space. Fitchburg has got,
Fitchburg.
they've got more space than they
Yeah.
need.
Leominster's a brand new
Uh-huh.
space. That's a custom building they built.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling, I remember the number, but it was over $2 million, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I seem to remember.
Yeah,
But then they have 40,000 people in the town compared with our 10 or 11.
Mhm.
yeah.
The only one that crosses my mind, and maybe Joe's as well, will be Townsend, because right now I believe they have a desk and 2 portable cameras. Do you
Mhm,
remember them saying that only just started out, they've
Mhm.
got one guy?
mhm.
But I don't think they've got any space. I mean, that would be working the other way that, but right now we square feet,
Mhm.
roughly 3,000 of them.
Joe, you worked in Shirley, right?
Yes. They did, they actually put a studio into their middle school.
Oh.
Which is very nice. But it's like our studio. It's very, it's a homemade studio.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's only about 1,000
And-
square feet. or
yeah,
something.
it's not very big. Their control room is basically a closet in the town hall. So they don't really have the space either to work with us. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Are you at
Thought
the
I'd throw
board?
it out there.
Are you at the select board tomorrow night?
Yes.
So you will be, I'm not available tomorrow night, otherwise I would try and be there. If you can keep them on the straight and narrow for putting it all together so that at the next town meeting, we have a final vote on it.
Right.
No, I think everyone.
Yeah.
Right, everyone.
Yep,
Buddy.
Yep,
want some closure to this issue. So,
couple of issues, yeah.
So do you have any more questions for us?
I don't, could you get me that, that list as
John,
well, just so I have it for my
I'm
records?
sure I can find it again.
Just email it to me
Or do you want it electronically?
electronically. Yeah, that you can
Okay.
do that.
I'll get my teletype out and see if I can fire it up again. Does anyone on the committee or Joe have any more questions for Heather?
Thank you for coming.
Oh,
When,
yes.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
very much.
No, no, I
When
really
you-
Thank
appreciate
you.
I do have a quick question. When you say that the select board is reviewing their charge, or what was the term?
charge.
Charge.
Right,
Yep.
but they're reviewing it or changing it,
They're gonna be amending the, from
amending
what it
it?
was before. Yeah.
Is it a drastic amendment?
It provides further parameters, I guess you'd say, for,
Okay, they're not, so they're not so much taking away a lot of their objectives, but they may be adding more objectives.
the debt discussion is part of that. as
Okay,
Mhm.
Providing that parameter,
okay,
as well as, the location. I think they took out the address of this building,
okay.
so.
Okay, I was just curious, like how drastic this
Mhm.
is, because I didn't know if we were gonna lose that committee.
No, but
Some-
the
in
intent
some
is
way.
to maintain that committee.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
just
you.
give them give them direction on what
So I
going
think their
forward,
present-
based on what happened at town meeting.
Yeah.
Because their present charter is expired, basically, I think, at the last meeting.
Not expired, but they can amend the charge.
Yeah,
at
it
any
wasn't
point.
working anymore.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah. They don't have a budget at this point, the TCP.
right.
There is no appropriation
Yeah.
to anything further.
Mhm.
But
Well, we will donate $100 if they'll just get the thing done.
I'll do the voucher. Or the P-
Is
the
that in
PO.
our bribe,
The PO.
bribe fund?
So thank you. You're very
Oh,
welcome to
thank-
stay. And you're also,
If you don't mind, I'll
I will.
leave. But
you
yeah.
you have a 50-mile commute back to Brookfield or something like that.
Yeah,
Did you move?
drive carefully.
Oh, I thought you
So-
lived in Barry.
Oh,
No,
Brookfield's a nice
No,
town.
that's where I used
Brookfield.
to work.
Where's Brookfield?
Right.
Next to
Didn't-
West Brookfield and
And
North
East.
Brookfield. and East
Yes,
Brookfield.
There's no South Brookfield.
Okay, so I asked a dumb question. I get, okay.
Yes,
Good shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
Oh, wow, that's a
so-
long.
On Route 9
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Route 20
Yeah.
and South.
Been there.
We used to go to the Brimfield Fair,
Oh, yes.
the
Yeah,
swing
the
had
flea
a-
market.
a
Flea
camp,
market, oh my
a
God.
campsite right on the lake there,
Oh, yeah.
where Route 20 goes over to Brimfield.
Brookfield Flea Market's huge.
Yeah, it
Oh,
is.
that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
nationally known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. Good luck with the
Oh,
rest of your
pleasure.
meeting.
Thank you.
And I can
Thank you.
list of the town properties.
Oh, yeah.
And once the charge is amended, I can send you that.
Good
So,
luck on the select board.
thank you.
Yes,
Good luck.
thank you.
Stay warm.
Oh,
Yeah,
you too.
And you.
Take care.
Bye.
Having no address, does that mean it could be anywhere? Is that what you meant by that?
No,
It's kind of
The
weird.
address has been removed from what they're talking about.
They were struggling.
oh, yeah,
To do with, does it have to be only the footprint of this building? And
Yes.
things like that. So
yes,
they were trying to relieve that somehow.
right.
Isn't Brooks' house or whatever, isn't that adjacent here somewhere?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's right in front.
So I
we,
mean, if they manage to sell that, what lunatic's going to buy, I have no idea. They have to take it away, but that generates more land space, which was not in their consideration,
well,
Just
it's
as an
not
example.
actually buildable land
isn't it?
where it sits.
I don't know.
No,
where
I
it is.
doubt they would rebuild on
Yeah,
that
It's a
land.
very historic building,
Yeah, but they have to take it away if they buy it
Yes,
so
whole.
there's all that.
They put
But you
wheels
know what
on
it
it.
changes? It changes the diagonals and where you can put things. Because if that property is gone, then when they measure where things can be, it has to be so many feet from this, so many feet
Yeah,
from that.
right.
Yeah,
If that's gone, that changes
Oh,
where they can put things.
you're
I
right.
don't know
Right.
where I live.
It's
that's
next to
how-
that wetland pool too there.
yeah,
But you have to be so many feet from a building, so many feet from a wetland.
And
You know,
Yeah.
it changes where things could be. It could be a little closer this way, a little closer that way. It doesn't have to be exactly right here.
But could,
I don't know. I don't know what the angles are between the schools.
I
and
mean,
all that.
Nobody really does, actually. That's one of the problems.
No, but it does change. The zoning changes a little bit because everything is measured away from from
Mhm.
property lines.
yeah,
And if there's anything buried underground, but the building has to have an envelope around it. Take away the building, you
can't
only
put it-
have,
Can you put another building in the same exact spot?
I
So
would,
it's
I
different-
would
different-
seriously doubt it. Because
Well,
I think it's got historic, like you said, it's got historical, like grandfathered
I think the
in
building
kind
is gonna stay there.
Oh, nobody's going to buy the building and move it. You have to put
I wish
wheels
someone
on
would.
it, hook it up to a big truck and put it in a trailer park. That's not.
They used to do it all the time.
I know.
Town hall.
Okay. Moving on.
yes, we need to move on quickly because Steve has to leave at 6:30.
You do?
No, I thought the meeting was
thought
at
you-
6:30. No, I
Oh,
thought the meeting was at 6:30.
okay, I'm
I
sorry, I misunderstood.
Next week. This is the only one that's at 6. All my other things meet at a
Okay.
different time.
Anybody have any communications of note? Hearing none. Can we review and approve the meetings from the December 2021 minutes?
So
I have a motion to accept them. Do I have a
Sure.
second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call. Pete,
I,
Faith,
Aye,
Steve,
Aye.
Steve, aye. Thank you very much. Can we turn the heat up in here?
I turned it on earlier.
Yeah.
Is it cold still?
This will speed things along. No, leave it cold.
Oh, okay.
Just the
it's
corridor.
probably the windows behind you that
Yeah.
are drafty.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've done that, we've done that, we've done that, we've done that. Jolly good show. So managers monthly report, do you have any?
Okay, I'll
Going
make this as brief as possible. This is Joe McLaughlin speaking. This is not in priority order. It's just some of the activities going on right now. We are interviewing videographers to fill a couple of spots. We are live streaming and recording varsity basketball games at the high school. We've done 3 so far. We want to record hockey, but we need a new encoder. The encoder we currently have is not easy to edit the settings. And when you edit the settings, you have to re-edit the settings each time you use it. The settings being the type of stream that you're using. In other words, the current encoder we have is set up to work directly with the town and the school network. And that is set up with streaming code called RTSP. Whereas most networks, or at least external networks that we would want to use, are under the code, under the process of RTMP. That's why we're looking to get a new encoder that would work well with RTMP networks. The encoder we've been talking about, and we've had a Zoom meeting regarding this with Castus, is a Teradek encoder. It provides easy connection to the RTMP networks, works well with Castus. The price ranges $1,600 to $3,300. I've provided a listing of different Teradek encoders for Castus to review and make a recommendation to me on. If we go forward with using the Teradek encoder, we need to upgrade our Castus streaming service. Right now, we use the streaming service to do live broadcasts of Zoom meetings. And we use a monthly service, not unlimited, but just simply monthly, which is at $79 a month. We paid for the whole thing through the rest of the year, the rest of the fiscal year. But we realized that in order to use the encoder at an optimal level and make it as easy as possible to use, we would really need to upgrade our streaming service with Castus to an unlimited streaming service. The reason being is that the monthly service that we use gives a different code every time you use the service. So you have to plug in different, I wouldn't say code, but different locations, different directions, different IP addresses, different key, streaming keys, all that information that goes into the streaming service. Excuse me, but with unlimited, once we sign up with unlimited, then our stream keys, our IP addresses, everything will remain the same. So the videographers using the Teradek encoder on an RTMP network will be able to just plug and play. They won't have to go in and change all the settings. And that's really key for getting a new encoder. There was a question in the meeting regarding security issues with our town IT, and it appears that there is no issues with the town IT department for using this encoder.
However, we do have to watch, because the Castus would end up being on a public network. So they recommended we do very good security, but it doesn't, as you said, impact the entire town network. That was the concern.
Right, exactly. So at this point, if you have any questions, I would take any questions, but just to let you know, following the town procurement policies, we just need to get some quotes on some Teradek encoders after we get the recommendation from Castus. And I'd like to ask the committee to consider getting this new piece of equipment, because it would not only help us do hockey recording, which is what prompted this, but with the use of a hotspot device, we could also go live anywhere with the Teradek encoder. That's something that I think is not going to be used right away. I think just doing it without the hotspot for now would be fine, because we can just get on to the networks we need to get on. But that's just another feature.
So the whole picture is a new encoder, up to $3,000, $3,300. Upgrade of the service for the Castor streaming service to, I believe, $129 a month, from $79 a month.
Yeah,
Remember
it's
correctly?
somewhere in that range. I just got an email from Castus today, and they are going to send me, the president is going to send me the cost to upgrade that, and we can, add that to our streaming service
And
bill.
then in the event we own our own mobile hotspot, they claim, I'd be interested to see this, they claim a cell phone with good 4G coverage is sufficient for one stream, which is all we typically would need. We process multi-cameras on site, then send one stream. They claim one 4G cell phone, basically. And there are also units that actually do the same thing, so it's not a cell phone, but it works on the cell network. Would become a data hotspot. That means if you're doing the parade, you can put this entire ensemble in the back of a truck and drive off, and it'll still keep working as long as you have electricity.
Yep, the hotspot requires, you have to purchase the device that creates the hotspot, and then you have to have a monthly, then there's a monthly fee that goes along with that, depending on the
Data plan.
data plan,
Yeah.
yes, the service. So it's really a great, I mean, what we have right now for live feeds is great, because we've been doing town
Right.
things and school things, and we've had no problems. But the Teradac would be a great improvement on that.
Every time you say that, I have an image of a dinosaur.
So do I.
I
wanna
do too,
back
pterodactyl, yeah.
So, Joe, do you need anything done at this point, or you're just proceeding with getting all the numbers together so we can make an informed vote on it at our next meeting? Is that about right?
That is about right. I'm waiting on the streaming service increase information, and I'm waiting for the procurement officer to find out if I have to get additional quotes. I don't really want to wait until the next meeting. I know you need that information. I just wanted to, can you do an email vote?
We can.
If I
The-
provide the chairman Steve,
a
with
complete
all-
package. Yeah,
with the whole package,
right.
you can then review it, ask me questions, or have me get more information if needed.
Right. I can do that.
Right, then I can get that to you.
Right. But we can only have a no discussion vote.
Right,
So, and if that fails, then it fails. Because if somebody needs,
right. And then we'll come
Clarification.
back next month for the
okay.
next meeting.
So are you okay if we do that?
I would prefer to not wait, because I'd like to do
Okay.
the hockey games, and
When do they start? They're in the
they've
winter,
already,
right?
they're already
They
started, and we have probably 7 next month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they have, the ice rink, we believe, has an access, a hotspot of some kind that we can access?
Oh, yeah,
We don't need
we can access them with an Ethernet cable,
Oh, really?
which goes directly into the encoder.
So that's what, like about 5 miles long, so we can plug the other end in here.
Mm,
No, it's actually right behind it's a good setup.
That's all I was really trying to find.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, it's a small space.
Yeah. Would
Excuse
we
me.
do multi-camera there?
No,
Ice hockey is notoriously difficult to
Film.
video.
yeah, it's gonna have to be single camera.
Okay,
How long is the ice hockey season, Joe?
It goes through February, mid-February.
And if they make the.
Oh,
play-
okay, so it doesn't overlap with baseball the way,
Oh, no, no.
We don't record baseball because it's like the never-ending sport.
Then get five.
it's hours and hours and hours. And
You should try cricket. They have 5-day matches.
yeah, yeah, it's too bad because I like baseball, but
Yeah.
You'd
it's
have to have
just,
several cameras.
yeah.
Okay, so you're good with that?
Yes, I will continue
Fine.
to compile information and get that to
Thank
you. Okay, we're also recording and live streaming. We recorded and live streamed the Lunenburg Middle and High School winter concerts, both the chorus and the band, and that came out really well. I trained a couple of videographers how to live stream with Castus and the data video encoder. I may have to refresh them, but it's pretty basic. It's very similar to the procedure to do the live broadcasts at the town hall.
Mhm.
It's, you use a lot of the same interfaces on the Castus that you use to live stream. So, okay, working on the FY23 budget through January and February. I have on the very, very last 2 pages a rough draft, and I mean rough draft of a couple of worksheets, which one is the Q2 summary and projection for FY23. And the other one is upside down. The other one is the sheet that Karen Brochu provides to us to calculate our, this fiscal year's actuals, half year actuals, end of December. And then our next fiscal year FY23 budget, what we'd like to see in that budget. So I did a lot of those numbers I put up here. Now, this was without consulting Steve Walker, so we will need to consult on all the different
I think
numbers.
we need to sit down in front of a computer screen
Absolutely.
and create the spreadsheets that we normally do
Mhm.
with an extra blank column.
With
But
it.
we've got to prorate all the rest of them and use our best guess.
Well, I
And
did,
then we can bring that to the committee next time, but I think we need some more time on it, yeah.
yes,
This is a good start.
it's a start.
Yeah.
I just need our retained earnings. She sent me that a few months back, and that will help also with the decision on the FY23 budget, what kind of retained earnings we can use.
Well, we also have
For the budget.
confusion with the direct costs that they take out in July, half of which we won't be using unless we have the production assistant or whatever the title was
Right.
by the end of June.
Mhm.
And somehow that confuses everything deeply. So we
Yes.
need to get that bit resolved as well.
Yes, so anyhow, that's why I put down February and January and February, because it's going to take a while to pull all that together, but we should have something pretty solid by the next meeting,
We must have it by
March.
we must be signed off from the committee's point of view by the March meeting, so they
By the
can
March
then
meeting.
go to FinCom.
Right,
Could I ask people at least to have a look at what Joe's put together here, so we're all well informed and ready to ask the really dumb questions, because they're usually the best ones. You know, why is that $3,000? Shouldn't it be $2,985.47?
yeah.
That helps everybody a lot if we've reviewed it ourselves, so we know what we're talking about.
And just to let you know, and like I said, I did not consult with Steve ahead of time, so these are all really flexible. But in the FY23 budget worksheet number 1, I did put down $40,000 in equipment maintenance and supplies, and $50,000 in capital equipment. I just want you to keep in mind that we've got 3 out-of-date Macs here that are on, they'll limp along for a while, and we also have to consider new cameras.
Okay, the problem we have to resolve, just so we go through this one more time, because I still have not had a satisfactory answer from Karen Brochu. We are only allowed to budget monies that we are expecting to have in for FY23. That means the retained earnings are not available for our budget. This is going to be a problem when we get the big space. And we had this problem before, and our expected income is still around about 200,000. I mean, that's what we have to worry about.
Right, right.
And when we originally had that discussion, we couldn't put our capital in. That had to go through the special meeting in November.
Mhm.
So if there's money left, all I'm saying to you is, and there's capital expenses we need now, even if it means moving around amongst line items we haven't used. If it's stuff that we're going to need between July the 1st and the special meeting in the fall or the autumn, whichever comes sooner, get it spent before June the 30th. Am I making sense? I can also
Yeah.
go through
Yeah.
this in more detail because we have
Yeah.
to resolve that, because the
Okay.
numbers we had agreed with FinCom were not the numbers that were presented at the town meeting. So that's an issue
Okay,
still. Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
okay. So, okay, next, number 9, IT fixed a broken laptop screen in the control room for $75.98. So we did not have to buy a new laptop. Julie Beliveau is also the procurement officer. I didn't mention that earlier, but she is doing an RFQ for the studio lighting.
Okay.
So we can get a couple more quotes.
Does she know how to do that for us?
I need to talk to her.
Just if I need to with you, then let me know.
Yeah, I
I'm just
know,
Slightly concerned.
I know basically how I would set
Yeah.
up the request. So, yeah, I will be in touch with her about that. The revenue that we received from Comcast in November was over $50,000, $2,000 over our last quarter payment.
So we're the only Pacc in Massachusetts whose revenue is going up. Because this means people are not cable cutting or new people are coming on faster than people are getting off.
Right,
That's fascinating.
yeah, I thought that was,
Well, after missing the end of the Patriots game and not getting power back from Comcast until like 3 hours later, where
oh,
I lived.
oh, that's
don't
too
know.
bad.
Yeah.
Did you guess the final result of the Patriots game?
Yeah, I guessed.
What much? Okay,
Okay,
can't read the number 12. It's black.
yeah,
and black.
12 and 13 are very dark.
Oh, you mean printed though? Okay.
I'm taking a FMLA online course per Heather's office, and I have an online
Oh,
test to pass.
Would you please tell us what FMLA?
Family Medical Leave,
Oh, I wondered if it was that.
Family
Act.
Medical Leave Act, yes.
Act, yeah.
Act. I don't know why, well, all of our department heads are taking it. I have non-benefited employees under me, so, but I guess
Right,
it's good
but
to,
I don't know how that might apply to that kind of situation. So let's make sure you learn that in the process, please.
right, I will. And the live stream from Channel 8 going to our YouTube channel is working fine, no issues or violations, no music. Okay,
So that means it was not graphics on the bulletin board.
no, it wasn't,
We still need to resolve that.
yes.
I
I
have a
I will
question.
talk I will talk to them.
Congratulations. Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
About, I know this has been an issue for years, but listing of what programs are coming next and has any progress been made in that area? A member of the public asked me, now that I think of it.
Yeah, we do have that now. Yep, it comes up every, with the bulletin. So after a program, it's the first bulletin that comes up. And it's the
Okay.
last bulletin that comes up.
I suspect you may be asking if we put it on the electronic program guide for Comcast. And the answer to that is no. We can't put it in there. They won't put it in there. We did try.
Yep, I remember that. Okay.
For the next couple of hours.
Yeah.
Okay, financials, pretty straightforward. The only thing, last month, it wasn't listed. The November Comcast payment wasn't in there, and then it was in there in December, listed as going in November. So that was added to the $50,074 was added, and the $286 interest was added. Another thing to note,
Just wondering why the interest is going down from August. Gone down almost $100.
Yeah.
Curious, to say the least.
that is curious. No clue. I know the number's correct at $1,214 for the year so
Okay.
far.
But let's not get our, as the English would have it, knickers in a twist over that at this point.
Okay. My knickers are fine.
This is American
Um,
rules.
I know, I was just trying to keep it reasonable while we,
Okay, one thing to note, payroll videographers, this is 6 months into, or the end of Q2, 6 months into FY '22. And we're right about halfway spent, halfway of the budgeted amount. So it's on
We're
target.
on target. Yeah.
say it's both good and bad. Good
Well-
that- Good that we've got videographers and they're working.
Right.
And we may have to look for a little more money in the next couple of months, so good.
Well, right, it's, we'll see how it goes, but it looks good right now. The next spreadsheet is the monthly spreadsheet for December. Nothing of note there at all. And then the next is the town financial report, which is
Boring.
no fun to read. But if you ever want to double check my numbers, it's all there.
It's done on a teletype.
December schedule. I have hockey written down on some places. Actually, I have to take it off of the 18th because we didn't do that one. And I have hockey written down in the January calendar, as well as the varsity basketball games. How many hockey games we can do all depends on the new encoder.
Okay.
Something of interest, the Parks Committee is having a charrette, a design charrette for the Marshall Park project, and that's gonna be
Kind of a dance.
on Thursday.
It's gonna be a dance, but
I
wait a
don't know
minute.
what it should be.
So a couple of questions on January.
Yes,
Would it be possible for Jason and I to do our talking baseball on the 27th? It's a Thursday. I know you don't like Thursdays. I'm asking.
well,
that-
Thursday in the summer is bad.
Okay, I'm asking that because on the 26th, the Hall of Fame
Oh,
electees are gonna be announced.
okay.
And it'll make a great start to the next baseball season.
Okay, terrific. So
5 o'clock. on
5 o'clock on
27th.
the 27th.
Too much.
I know.
And we still have 2 shows in story time in the can, don't we?
Yes, well, one, I still have to get those books from the last time over to Eric. But he should have the last group for me where I had Meg Arnold and Diane now to have to edit that one this week.
Because we're doing 2 more
Right,
on the 12th,
right,
and that's all set.
yeah.
We got our people.
Yeah, it's getting to be challenging to get to schedule people.
That's why we need more videographers.
Well, a lot of my videographers like having the work. But I don't like to put them in days in a row. I like them to have a few days in between their work. So, but that's what it is. It is what it is. Next page is the programming analysis. We are inching our way back to more local. Right now, it's 59% of the programming on Channel 9 is access share or downloaded programming or programming received from other stations. And we're at 41%, which is an improvement. It's just going very slow. This, as I mentioned earlier, this month we had the chorus winter concert, the band winter concert. We also had the tree lighting. And I didn't include the basketball games we did because I put them on our educational channel.
Mhm.
And I haven't done analysis of the educational channel yet because most of the things that are on there are access share.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right now. So
Fairly soon, that would be good to see as well.
yes, and I'd like to do that. And the
Oh.
next few pages, I'll include an abbreviated information listing for the pterodactyl encoder. But this is just a list of the different ones. And as I said, I'm waiting for Castus to give me the recommended one that they think we should use based on our needs that we talked about. And there is, in addition to the actual encoder, I found an NDI license for one of the specific encoders, which is at $300. So when I get you that information, I'll include whatever's necessary
Please. Thank
after
you.
that. Okay. And that's all I have.
Okay, any further questions for Joe?
Good job.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
I believe we've had the future studio space or lack of it discussed. And Joe included the budget as far as we are at this point. In her report, for which I thank you. Next meeting, February the 7th of 2022.
And I'd like to thank Joe for setting up the Yankee swap. That was fun.
I am
Oh,
so
yes.
glad you enjoyed it. We needed time to chill with each
Yeah,
other.
that
I
was
think.
good. That was
Yeah.
good time.
That's the first one I've ever been to.
And what would Pesky be doing right now? if he didn't
She
have-
loves it.
That was kind of
she-
cool.
I bet you got enough left of the bottle.
What's that?
The bottle that you won. If you left
Of the what?
the bottle that you won.
Oh, no, I left it on the Cape.
You did what?
I left it on the Cape.
I hope you put it in the refrigerator.
Don't need
house.
to.
Yes, it is.
It's not just on the ground.
No, no.
Where the car was.
It's in the fridge. I brought it to have with my family and then I left it there.
May not be there when you get there.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That was a
So-
good time.
Interesting experience.
Oh, I'm glad so you
Yeah.
liked it, huh?
Oh, yeah, and I could also see how it could go terribly wrong if you do it in an office and things like that.
Well,
So,
that's the whole point of a Yankee swap.
Yeah.
It's great when it goes wrong.
yeah,
When it goes sideways,
Yeah.
that's the best kind of Yankee
Yeah.
swap there
Yeah.
is when people get cutthroat about the
I
gifts and
thought
stuff.
we all behaved well.
I thought so.
A small group.
Yes, yeah, I guess, especially if people don't know each other very well. it could get real ugly. Okay.
So
anyone have
February
anything
7th?
else For the committee, hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion. So moved. Second,
Second.
discussion required. All those in favor by roll call, Pete. Aye, Faith,
I,
Steve,
All right,
Steve, aye. Thank you all. I appreciate you coming out and try and stay warm.
when did the meeting actually start?
About